Quorum is present. I will now call this meeting to order. It is 4:55 p.m. We have no public comments for posted agenda items today. I will now turn the floor over to Dr. Sonia Nizey, Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Superintendent for Operational Support, who will present a budget workshop.
Okay, can you hear me? Good. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm going to present to you an update on where we're at on the development of the 2024-25 budget. We had our first workshop in April, and this will be our second update. Seems like there's a bit of a delay. I apologize. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to go over with you some new pieces of information that we've received since we had the meeting in April, and then where we're currently at as we've been revising estimates on what the district will need to absorb from the ESSER grant funds that are going away, and we had some position cuts and some shifting of cost and compensation modeling, and give you the latest update on that. So the first change that we have tonight is that Harris County Appraisal District is required every April to give entities an update on what they estimate certified property values to be. So we, in fact, received those on April the 30th, and they came in at almost $12.3 billion, which interestingly is a decrease of 2% over the 2023 taxable value. So the last few years, we've seen some increases in our property value, so we were somewhat surprised when we saw the decrease. We did not anticipate that. One thing I want to caution about, though, is that these values, from historically what we've seen, is they do fluctuate significantly, and even in the letter that they give to us, they tell us it could be a 5% plus or minus basis point change. So for example, last year when we first got this number, it was 11.9 billion was what they originally projected for us, and then where we ended up at in September was 12.6 billion. So again, you know, I'm not exactly sure where we're going to end up. We do know that we have seen a lot of our commercial accounts litigated the last few years, so perhaps this is an adjustment downwards because of the litigation that we've seen. The other new information that we received was the teacher retirement system, who administers the TRS Active Care Plan, which is the health insurance program that all of our employees participate in. They had their board meeting, and they gave us the rate increases that the board approved. And these range from an average of 17% to 25% increases. We also noted that all of the out-of-pocket expenses also increased. So this would be your deductibles and then the out-of-pocket cost. I'm going to give you just a little bit of an analysis per paycheck to help understand what's happening on these increases. So on our lowest plan, the increase would go up $19.50 per paycheck for an employee, and then the highest increase we saw is $75.50 per paycheck. So that would range annually from an increase of $468 to $1,812 for the most costly one. We have almost 2,200 employees participate in TRS Active Care. The majority of them do participate in the employee-only level plans. So those would be the plans where we're seeing, you know, the least increases. Not sure why that. Okay. So moving on from the health insurance, our compensation modeling, we presented this information last time. What we have incorporated into our 2024-25 estimates is a 2% general pay increase across the board for all employees. So for teachers, that would mean a beginning teacher pay of $65,500 and then $1,350 increase for all returning teachers. So our early budget estimates We're using a slightly higher average daily attendance than what we used at the first workshop. We've seen some very strong attendance data. Attendance averages more like 94 and 95%, where last year we were seeing a lot of 93 and 93.5%. So we're seeing a lot of strong attendance, not necessarily an uptick in enrollment, but a lot of strong attendance. So we had a 1% decline that was estimated at workshop 1, so we've modified that estimate down to about a 0.5% decline. The tax rate estimate here shows a compressed, additional compression on the maintenance and operations rate, gets us to 0.8376. On the debt service side, we're estimating now 2,943 is the rate that the district will need for 24-25. Now, of course, you did have a bond referendum that passed recently, so this estimate for debt service doesn't include any type of debt repayments that may begin next year during 24-25. So if the district did sell bonds prior to the debt rate being set, and we had a payment that happened either in February or next August, that may change this debt service estimate. We also have included, even though it's at a slightly reduced amount than what we've done in the past, life cycle, technology, fleet. We have a little over $3 million that's allocated in the general fund budget for those activities. One new item that we added here, we try to put I guess I call it the big ticket items, the areas where we see our largest expenses. Obviously, compensation is the biggest, but outside of compensation, we try to include some of those that are more costly to the district. So security now has risen kind of to the top of the list now when you look outside of compensation. So now we're spending almost $7.6 million out of the projected general fund budget next year for security officers and security. So our preliminary budget projections, at the last workshop, we had an estimate that was very close to $13 million deficit. That's down to 11.9 million deficit at this point for 24-25. Again, we've talked about this. A lot of this is the result of the ESSER funds that the district will no longer be receiving, and we're having to reabsorb some salaries due to that. The revenue estimates are a little bit higher again in this model because of the increases in the average daily attendance. So next steps. We hope that you will be able to adopt your compensation package at your June board meeting and approve your general pay increase. Again, later in the summer, you will see more workshops that happen in August with your final budget adoption. That's also the point in time whenever we can calculate a maximum compressed rate, and then the board can prepare for tax rate adoption, which I would estimate would occur at your October 7th board meeting. Does anybody have any questions where we're at on budget development?
Does the funds that they receive, the grant funds, are they included in that, or is it all out of our local budget?
What most of that cost is for our contracted officers, and also some extra duty payments that we pay for security officers to be at events.
Okay.
So that's what the majority of that cost is.
Okay.
There are some grant funds that the district is pursuing right now. Most of the grants that the district is pursuing, they can't be used for the contracted
Personnel.
officers.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're looking to do is to increase fencing around campuses and implement other security measures with those grant funds.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just curious, do we know where we fall regarding beginner salary, beginner teacher salaries with the area school districts?
So what I'm seeing so far, I mean, we're currently sitting right at the #1 spot in this area. I'm not seeing anything that Galena Park would drop from that spot so far. Some of the districts are telling us what they're going to do with compensation packages. Probably about half of the districts are talking about that. The other half they're just not saying much. A lot of them are doing one-time payments with remaining ESSER funds and then maybe doing conservative 1% to 2% pay increases. We've seen maybe one or two jump out there and say a 3 or 4%, but it's not many. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nizzi. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 5:05 p.m. Five ten. Board is now in open session. The time is 5:45 PM. I will entertain motions on the items covered in executive session. Is there a motion to approve the list of Chapter 21 probationary and term contract recommendations beginning in 2024 to 2025 and authorize the Executive Director for Human Resources to notify the related employees of the contract recommendations?
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the list of Chapter 21 probationary and term contract recommendations as presented.
I, Adrian Stevens, second.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and seconded by Adrian Stevens. All in favor? Okay. The motion carried 5-0 with one abstention. Is there a motion to approve the list of non-Chapter 21 probationary term contract recommendations beginning in 2024 and 2025 and authorize the Executive Director for Human Resource Services to notify the related employees of contract recommendations?
I, Linda Sherrod, move we approve the list of non-Chapter 21 probationary and term contract recommendations as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
A motion was made by Linda Sherrod and seconded by Norma Hernandez. All in favor? The motion carried 6-0 with no abstentions. A quorum is present. I will now call this public meeting to order. The time is 5:47 PM. Dr. Sonia Nizey, Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Superintendent for Operational Support, will conduct a public hearing under Texas Government Code 403.611B regarding an application for a limitation on the taxable value of the property for maintenance and operations and Valerum tax purposes filed by Summit Next Gen LLC, Texas Comptroller and Public Accounts Application J0001 on Job, Energy, Technology, and Innovations Act, JEDI.
Good evening. So tonight for the public hearing, we have two experts who have been assisting us with this process. One of the gentlemen, Mr. Randy McDowell, unfortunately his flight was canceled in the Dallas area due to the weather, so he wasn't able to travel. But we have another gentleman that's with us. He's a representative with Thompson and Horton, Mr. Philip Fraisenet. And I'm going to, at this time, turn it over to him, and then if the board has any questions that I can assist with, I'll interject.
Thank you, Board, Trustees, Superintendent Moore. First of all, congratulations on the HEB Award. I heard about this week. That's a great honor for all of you. Congratulations. Second, have a little patience with me. Mr. McDowell was going to present all but one slide on here. I, as the lawyer, was going to present the last slide, so I'm pitching in, and I'll do my best, but we'll get through this. I would like to go ahead and provide a very little bit of background on what this is. The title to the matter was obviously a very long one, sounded very complicated. The Jobs, Energy, Technology, and Innovation Act, or JEDI as people are calling it. This is the new Chapter 313 law. You probably have heard about 313 agreements in the past. I don't think your district has ever had one, but I think you've discussed those and had looked at those in the past. It's the same basic structure. This is a law that allows a company to come in, and if they have an eligible project as defined under the law, they can come in and they can apply for essentially for a portion of the taxes on that project to be abated for a certain period of time. So there's an incentive for the company to come into an area like in Park or another area, and it provides them a tax incentive, and it allows the district to get a company like this to come in. There are jobs requirements that apply, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, investment requirements, and the like. So these are the basic elements of the law. This is a new statute enacted last year by the legislature. It's an economic development program aimed at creating jobs and other economic investment. And what it allows, and this is now set in statute, 50% of the taxes on this project. They come in, they build a project that obviously adds property values in the district. Instead of paying taxes on the 100% of that new value, the company pays taxes on 50% for a period of time. Okay, so they have an incentive to do it, and the district gets a new project in the boundaries. During the construction period, which in this project I think is about 2 years, there's no taxes paid during the period of construction on any of the project. Under the new law, the 313 agreements were basically agreements between the school district and the company. Now the state is involved. This is much more now a state program. The state law pretty much spells out what has to be in the agreement, and so the state of Texas through the governor's office is actually a party to the agreement. So if we move on beyond tonight, the next step would be the negotiation of a contract between the company as well as the governor's office and the school district. Here are the requirements. I mentioned before, jobs and investment requirements for your district, for Galena Park, of course, in Harris County, big district, big county. The project has to guarantee that there's going to be at least 75 new jobs over and above what there are now. So does that mean there's 75 every year? No, it just means that there's a net gain of at least 75 jobs over the period of the program, which would be a 10-year program, and it's an average. So that's the jobs requirement, and there has to be a minimum required investment of $200 million. And you'll see in a minute that the project would have much more investment than that. This is the company, Summit Next Generation. This is a description of what the project is. Again, I've not been working with the company as much as Mr. McDowell. I know there is representatives from the company, so if you have any specific questions about the project, I would refer those to the company, the representative, or Sonia probably has some information, but you can see what it is here. It's basically a sustainable aviation fuel manufacturing and refining plant. They do have in their application the guarantee of creating a minimum of 75 new jobs and an estimated capital investment for construction of $1.669 billion, so well in excess of the $200 million that's required. And the project is estimated to be operational by January of 2027. This is going to be real hard to read. This is just the timeline for any jetty project. The blue has already happened. Okay, that's the application by the company, went to the comptroller's office. The comptroller is charged with reviewing the application to make sure all of the information is in there to comply with the statute in terms of the investment, the jobs requirements, that the project is eligible under the statute. The comptroller then, once the comptroller approves the project moving forward, then the comptroller gives notice to the governor's office and the school district, and then it's up to the school district to bring this to the board, have a public hearing in case there are questions or comments on it, and then the board takes action tonight not to give final approval to the project, but to indicate an agreement that the district is agreeable to negotiating and entering a contract. So if the board approves this tonight, we would go back, we would negotiate, work with the governor's office and the company to put the actual agreement together where all the specifics would be, and then it would come back to the board for a final approval down the road. Okay, so this is not final action tonight, but this is some indication whether the board and the district is willing to move forward with an agreement. This is the project is in this enterprise zone that covers the Houston Ship Channel. Again, probably not one that, this is from the application. This shows the revenues generated from the project year by year from 2027, well, 24, 25, and 26, but remember there's no taxes on any of the work while the project is under construction. And then you've got a stream of the revenues here. This is not necessarily real helpful. This shows what the additional tax revenue would be from that 50%. Remember I said that the company gains by not having to pay taxes on 50% of the new property value. They do pay taxes on the other 50%. The trade-off for school district, of course, is what happens when you generate more local tax revenue on the M&O side, you get less state funding. So even though this looks like there's additional revenue to the district, there's additional tax revenue, there would be less state revenue. And in a minute, you'll see some slides that actually show more of the net. There is gain on the INS side. The company pays tax on 100% of the value on the INS side, and that, of course, is revenue that is generated for the district, so it either could result in lower INS or bond tax because you're spreading it out over more property, or it gives you more bonding capacity in the future. And I know you just had a successful bond election, so congratulations on that as well. So here are the three models that Mr. McDowell had put together, and just I'm going to give you the end of the story real quick. If you want to look at the number down in the right-hand corner of each of these, you see the $3,088,728,389. That's an estimation of how much revenue there would be in each of these scenarios to the district. And what I want to show you is on the M&O side, that number for all three scenarios is not very different. It's pretty much a wash. So whether you have the project in the district, without the project coming, you can see the district's revenues over those 10 years, about $3,088,728,000. You can see here with the project without a JEDI, so the company comes in but doesn't have the JEDI agreement, $3,088,892, so just a little bit higher than the first one. And then with the JEDI agreement, $3,088,835. So I think there's a swing of about $30,000 per year in those scenarios. So the real benefit to the district isn't on the M&O side. Again, where the benefit is here on the INS side. Because these values go on the books, you have more values out there. That revenue does stay in the district and isn't part of the actual exemption. And so I do want to, Sonia, if I say something that's different, then you throw something at me. But that's really it. And so then, of course, the other benefit is you get a new company coming in and making an investment in the district with the guaranteed jobs of 75 jobs, the financial investment. So I'm not suggesting at all these are not worthwhile projects. I just want to be real clear that unlike the 313 agreements in the past, there's no separate flow of revenue coming to the district as there might have been in the past. But there definitely are some potential benefits from having a company come in and do this. So next steps, if the board does move forward tonight, again, you're not finalizing the agreement, you're indicating an interest in going ahead and negotiating an agreement that would come back to the board. Let's see, the governor's office has already given us their notification, so all three parties would have to agree to the written agreement. Here is the language that I'm suggesting if you want to move forward. This is probably like the longest motion that anybody's had to read up here, so I hope you guys have a printed copy of it. But this is a motion to determine that the district is agreeable to entering an agreement for a limitation on taxable value of property. And that's the language that's right out of the statute. It says that the board has to make that determination. I didn't come up with it on my own. It's that the district is agreeable to entering an agreement. That's required by the statute. But I did think it was important to add some language that makes clear that the board is not giving final approval to this project until that agreement is negotiated and then brought back to you for final approval in the future. So that's what the rest of this language sort of says. Okay? So that's an overview and where we are and the action that the board would take. Are there any questions at this time?
Just real quick, the MVP period, the maintain valuable presence, does that mean that it could possibly be a 3-year extension on top of the 10-year?
It's a 2-year construction period is what they estimate, and then the 10-year period for the incentive program. I don't know about I'd have to look at that.
Okay.
Let you know
On the timeline after the 10 years,
Yeah.
there was a 3-year MVP period, and it said applicants. I didn't know.
So Lisa knows the answer to that, but we can certainly have that for you if the board comes back with this. Yes, sir.
Good evening, President, Vice President. Thank you for that question. The references that he's made to 313 would bring some similarity to anyone who has experience with that. But that valuable presence is required, but please also know the investment is going to be construction of this facility. And so with respect to that, I think that's a time frame, but the likelihood that they're leaving would be unlikely,
Okay.
given their investment and all the.
So that's just saying that they're required
Yes.
to maintain valuable
Exactly.
presence within those 3 years
Exactly.
after?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you for your question.
Are there any other questions? I hope I didn't do that. If not, thank you for your patience tonight. I'll stick around if there are any questions when this action comes up for a vote after.
Good. The public hearing is adjourned. The time is 6:02 p.m. The Board of Trustees of Galena Park Independent School District now convene in a regular meeting on May 13th, 2024, in the Administration Building of Galena Park Independent School District, the address of which is 14705 Wood Forest Boulevard, Houston, Texas 77015. The time is 6:02 p.m. I want to welcome the members of the audience to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Galena Park ISD Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information regarding items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by Section 551.071 to 551.084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in Galena Park Independent School District. We have no public comments for posted agenda items today, and we have no public comments for non-agenda items today. Tonight's invocation will be presented by Ramon Garza, and the pledges to the American and Texas flag will be led by Galena Park Middle School LOTC. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance to the flags.
Please pray with me. Loving and gracious God, we are indeed the giver. You are indeed the giver of all good gifts. And we thank you today for all the blessings, for the successful outcome of our school board meeting, and all the upcoming events like graduations. Bless all our staff members, both the teaching and support members. We ask that you bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is good and right. Help us to make decisions that are good for all. Dear Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. We give you thanks for the passing of the biggest bond ever for this school district. Give us wisdom that we all make the best decisions for the building of the new schools and updating of the older ones. All this glory be to you, loving God, now and always, through your Son, Jesus Christ, forever. Amen.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. You may be seated. We will now move on to this evening's special recognition portion of the agenda. Dr. Moore.
All right, thanks, Mr. Esparza, President Esparza. We'd like to welcome Councilwoman Carmela Garcia. If you'll please wave from Jacinto City. Thanks for coming out tonight. In a few minutes, we're going to honor a bunch of folks. You can see we've got a packed house tonight. We've had a lot of great things happen in Galena Park this year. For those of you who don't know, just a couple of 9 days ago, $530 million bond passed, the biggest bond in the history of Galena Park ISD, and it's most of that money, not all of it, but most of that money is set to rebuild Galena Park High School. So, which has been a long time coming. Super excited about that. Along with that comes super responsibility. Managing $530 million, you can imagine. So there's a lot of responsibility on our staff. Second of all, on the same weekend, one day later, 12 hours later, we were named HEB Large District of the Year. And we're going to talk about that in a minute and honor some people, but I want you to know who the competition was. Allen, Klein, Wiley, Pasadena, and Galena Park, us. We were the fifth one. So those are big dogs in the state of Texas. Those are people in different parts of the state of Texas that have very different circumstances than we do. Very different circumstances. And the HEB people picked us. And there's a reason. And we're about to run a bunch of those people across the stage. So I just want you to understand how special that is. And it's not an award that was won by just the group that's here. And it's an award that was won by every bus driver, every custodian, every crossing guard, every cafeteria lady, and all the people in between those guys and me. Everybody worked hard to get that. It's an award that recognizes heart. It recognizes what we do every day in Galena Park ISD. And you know, I was the guy with the privilege of standing up there accepting the award. But the reality is, I'm not the guy who earned it. The people who earned it, and I told all the folks, they'll be performing tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., and they perform every day. So when you go back to campus, after we do our deal tonight, please take a moment and hug those people. They earned it. My name's John Moore. I'm the proud superintendent of Galena Park ISD, and I service a community of East Side, hardworking folks that are extremely supportive and a blast to spend my time with. Well, there's a lot of things that make us unique. The people, it's about the people. The most unique thing is the longevity of the staff here. A lot of us have been here for a long, long time. And, you know, it becomes kind of like family. You know, we have a super large 6A high school and a 5A high school that's 1,800 or so. So there's a lot of things that make us a little bit unique. And let me add this, our students are special.
I love Galena Park because it's a community, it's a support system. They go all in, then they will have your back no matter what. Even if you think nobody's in your corner, there's always programs, teachers, people, counselors that will be here to help you to the finish line and further beyond.
All right, there's no sticker placement requirement. The only requirement is conversation. All right, so come up closer. Come on.
You know, we do a lot of our own stuff. We write our own curriculum, we adjust our own curriculum, we make changes based upon where our kids are, what they need, and where we got to get them to. The state is famous for changing where we got to get them to, so we're constantly updating, changing, modifying our curriculum to meet all those standards. And then don't forget, we also have the social emotional side of children that we have to deal with. So that all has to be taken care of before we can teach. And you know, that's become a pretty big burden in public school, to have to recognize that, to do something about it, to help kids overcome some of those obstacles. So all that comes into play when you ask about creating a great academic environment. All that matters. And so we're doing lots of different things to try to tackle all of those different aspects of educating a child.
Cold War 5, 200, all right? What's the difference between us and them, right? So
I believe Galena Park is an extremely special school district. They have an abundance of opportunities for all of the children, no matter what their interests are, no matter if they're struggling in school, they have the ability to be able to help them get over and overcome whatever they need to. Every student is different. They have different personalities. Galena Park has fulfilled that duty. They've ensured that no matter what the personality and the characteristics are of the child, whatever their interests are, they ensure that they have something to meet those needs.
Good evening. Would Trustee Adrian Stevens please assist with tonight's recognitions?
So we're going to walk a bunch of people across the stage here that have to do with HEB. Like I told you before, everybody wanted, not just people walking across the stage. These were the people that participated in the visits and writing of the HEB application, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to honor some of the crowd. Remember, it's really an award for everybody.
And since we have lots of recognition, we're going to let everybody move to their locations. All right. We will begin this evening's recognitions with the pleasure of announcing Galena Park ISD has earned the 2024 HEB Excellence in Education Large School District Award for our commitment to student achievement through innovative programs, parent and community involvement, and professional development opportunities for teachers and administrators. Will the following HEB Excellence in Education site team members and HEB Ambassador team please join us on stage when your name is called? Please hold your applause until all names have been called. Jose Jimenez, Dr. Juana Jacona, Elizabeth Layler, Dr. Sonia Nizy, Kenneth Bryant, Dr. Joe Coleman, Dr. Christopher Eckford, Ruben Escobar, Melissa Garza, Denisha Jones, Dr. Kimberly Martin, Terry Moore, Maria Munoz, David Pearson, Cordia Robles, Jaime Rocha, Gael Sandoval, Holly Sherrard, that's the last one that's the district, yes. And those are our district participants. And last but not least, our communications department for the facilitation of this group visit. And of course, last but not least, our superintendent of schools, Dr. John Moore. Congratulations again on this outstanding accomplishment to the Galena Park ISD school community. Next, we have another proud HEB honor to highlight this evening, which includes Ms. Roxanne McCabe, Sam Houston Elementary School Counselor. With her principal, Dr. Michelle Cavazos, and GPISD Senior Director for Student Support Services, Dr. Saritha Augustine, please join her on stage. Mrs. McCabe received the HEB Excellence in Education Award in the School Counselor Elementary category. This HEB Excellence in Education Award for school counselors recognizes school counselors for providing a safe, supportive, and caring environment while coordinating services to assist students with problems and concerns. Thank you, Ms. McCabe, for your positivity and your impact that you've had on students. Next, Galena Park ISD would like to recognize the North Shore Rotary Club for their donation to the 5th Annual Mental Health Awareness Fair. Will the members of the North Shore Rotary Club please join us on stage when your name is called? Please hold your applause until all names have been called. Lee Brown, Dr. Alexander Okwana, Kenneth Wembley, David Proctor, Minnie Izagiri, Donald Nino, Dana Nino, and Wayne O'Quinn, and Mr. Ramon Garza, and Jose Jimenez. Will the organizer and host of the Mental Health Awareness Fair, Dr. Karen Haynes, Galena Park ISD Director for Social Services, please join us on stage for a photo. The fair aims to destigmatize mental health disorders while educating the Galena Park community about the prevalence of and support of mental health disorders. Thank you to the North Shore Rotary Club for your assistance in bringing a needed resource to our community. Please give them a round of applause. Okay. Next, Galena Park ISD will recognize the Fine Arts Department for being named a 2024 Best Communities for Music Education by the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation. Will the music teachers who contributed to such an honor please join us on stage when your name is called? Please hold your applause until all names have been called. First up is Mr. Sam Harris, Director of Fine Arts, and Mr. Mickey Winokur, Program Director of Fine Arts. Justin Allen, Adam Bendorf, Jessica Borderloin, Tyler Borderloin, David Bruce, Noemi Cervantes, Casey Christensen, Sarah Christensen Harris, Adam Conlin. Hold on one second till your name is called. Victor Davila, Omnic Dawson, Bucky Flores, Charlie Grissom, Jorge Gutierrez, Aaron Houston, Samantha Long, Elvis McBride, Victoria McMillan, Sarita Napoleon Mills, Antonia Orozco, Anthony Perez, Anthony Rodriguez, Danny Rubio, Michael Tanaglio, Gutimber Ortiz, Megumi Walker, thank you. Caitlin White, Brittany Wilborn, Laisha Gonzalez, Nikita Eagleton, Laura Bendorf, and Ronnie Andrade.
That's a big group.
And Mr. Trevino Esquivel, Ezekiel Trevino Pina. Please give them a round of applause.
I know it. Y'all got all kind of stuff.
All right. Congratulations. Finally, our favorite part has arrived. Galena Park ISD would like to recognize the 6A Calculator Applications team from North Shore Senior High for winning first place in their division at the 2024 Texas Math and Science Coaches Association High School State Meeting. The first place team members included Hiromi Islas, Zachary Mann, Kirsten Penty,
They moved it, stick it over there. They moved it.
Jace Tapiz,
She moved it to take the picture.
and their awesome coach, Coach Don Kirby.
Yay, Mr. Kirby!
Mr. David Pearson and Mr. Kenneth Bryant, proud principals, please join them on stage for a photo. Congratulations to the North Shore 2024 TMSCA State Champions. This team will head to the UIL State Calculator Competition first thing in the morning. Students, we wish you well, and we know that you'll continue to make us proud. Congratulations. This concludes this evening's portion of recognitions. Thank you.
Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any student, staff, or board member and may not be discussed or deliberated upon at this time. Does anyone have a comment?
First of all, I am extremely excited about the great new things happening in Galena Park ISD, especially with the passing of the bond. I want the community to know that we take this responsibility very seriously, and we look forward to creating the completion of Galena Park High School, which I know is a dream of our superintendent and all the new schools that are going to be coming on board. And second, I want to commend the fine arts team. Fine arts for me is something very special that kept me in school, and I want to thank you for all the hard work you do with our kids.
I just want to echo what Jose said, and especially because I've always said Galena Park High School was old when I went there back in the 80s. So this bond passing was really, why are you tapping, Miss? Oh, Ms. Chirag said it was old too when she was in school there. So. But no, we want to thank the community, especially everybody that supported this bond, because it's what we need for our kids. And just thank you, and also have a safe summer, because summer's already here. Graduation will be in a week and a half, so have a safe summer, and we'll see y'all next year. All the kiddos back and safe, and just have a safe summer.
I'd like to just make one final comment with members of the community and as well as the district being present. And I know you're not supposed to give names, but I just want to personally express to Dr. Sonia Nagy how much we appreciate everything that she did financially for us here in Galena Park ISD. It's really emotional, but at the same time, we know you're leaving us in very good hands. So I have other people I'm going to say something about, but I'm not going to do it tonight because I don't want nobody to get me. But I do want to publicly say that to Sonia in front of this community. She kept us in very excellent shape financially. And if you will, help me applaud her.
I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day, Even though I'm a day late, it's never too late to celebrate our moms. Thank you.
We now come to the business portion of tonight's meeting. We invite and encourage you to stay for the remainder of the meeting. However, if you need to leave early, we understand, and this is a convenient time to do so. We appreciate your attendance. Please come again. Harold Sonny Fletcher III, Senior Director of Facilities Planning and Construction, will provide a 2016 bond program and facilities construction update.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Moore, and Cabinet. I've got a quick one tonight. We'll start here with Galena Park High School. Of course, the picture on the left would be culinary. No, of course, that's auto tech. And right in the picture behind you there is the wheel alignment machine and the balancing machine. So all our equipment's getting delivered in the cafeteria. I think I'm ready to go eat at GP Pizza and Pasta, right? Looking great. Very happy with how that's looking. And then, of course, our summer work, have a lot of coming soon, a lot of work going on this summer. So have a lot of updates next month. And then real quick, a thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Sonny.
Sonny, we're going to miss you. And I
Yeah.
guess I'm not going to be asking you questions no more. So I have to pick on Ron now for a while. But thank you so much for all the extra time you put to make sure that our buildings are the best. And we want to thank you for being just an awesome employee, friend, and someone that we can, and the best of all, that you always looked out for what was best for GPISD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Truly appreciate you, Sonny.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all you've done for us. And best of luck. We will now move on to new business. Is there a motion to approve the renewal of property windstorm terrorism insurance for the period of June 1st, 2024 through June 1st, 2025 from McGriff Insurance Services, Inc. via Region 14 Education Service Center and Omnia Partner Contract Number 09-08 for the premium of $3,761,010.
I, Jose Jimenez, move we approve the renewal of property windstorm terrorism insurance as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
A motion was made by Jose Jimenez and seconded by Norma Hernandez. All in favor? All opposed? All abstained? The motion carried 5-0 with one abstention. Is there a motion to approve the Board of Trustees determine that Galena Park ISD is agreeable to entering an agreement for a limitation on the taxable value of the property for maintenance and operation ad valorem tax purposes pursuant to the application filed by Summit Next Gen LLC, subject to and only upon the board's future consideration and approval of a final agreement containing the terms of such limitations.
I, Adrian Stevens, move we approve the Board of Trustees determines that Galena Park ISD is agreeable to entering an agreement for a limitation on the taxable value of the property for maintenance and operation ad valorem tax purposes pursuant to the application filed by Summit Next Gen LLC, subject to and only upon the board's future consideration and approval of a final agreement containing the terms of such limitation as presented.
I, Ramon Garza, second the motion.
A motion was made by Adrian Stevens and seconded by Ramon Garza. All in favor? The motion carried 6-0 with no abstentions. The official canvass report, including precinct returns, have been presented to the Board of Trustees, showing the voting results for the May 4th, 2024 Galena Park ISD trustee election for positions 1 and 2 and bond proposition A. For position 1, the total number of votes for Adrian Stevens was 1,195. Mrs. Stevens ran unopposed and is declared the winner for position 1. The total number of votes for Amanda Arabia was 842. The total number of votes for Wanda Heath Johnson was 804. Ms. Arabia received the plurality of votes and is declared the winner for position 2. For bond proposition A, the total number of votes for proposition A was 1,201. The total number of votes against proposition A was 394. Bond proposition A passes with a plurality of votes. Let the minutes reflect completion of this canvass in an open and timely posted meeting of the Board of Trustees to certify Mrs. Adrian Stevens as the winner for position 1, Mrs. Amanda Arabia the winner for position 2, and the passing of bond proposition A. With respects to the general consent agenda, do we want to remove any items for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Ramon Garza, move we approve the general consent agenda as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
A motion was made by Ramon Garza and seconded by Norma Hernandez. All in favor? The motion carried 6-0 with no abstentions. With respect to the construction consent agenda, do we want to remove any item for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Jose Jimenez, move we approve the construction consent agenda as presented.
I, Ramon Garza, second the motion.
A motion was made by Jose Jimenez and seconded by Ramon Garza. All in favor? The motion carries 6-0 with no abstentions. With respect to the financial consent agenda, do we want to remove any items for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the financial consent agenda as presented.
Linda Sherrod, second that motion.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and seconded by Linda Sherrod. All in favor? The motion carries 6-0 with no abstentions. The following documents were presented to the Board for information. Dr. Sonia Nizey, Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Superintendent for Operational Support, presented number 1, Tax Collection Report for March 2024. Number 2, 2016 Bond Program Financial Report as of March 31st, 2024. Number 3, Quarterly Investment Report for the period of December 1st, 2023 through February 29th, 2024. B, Mrs. Elizabeth Layler, Deputy Superintendent for Educational Support and School Administration, presented 1, Early Head Start Policy Council meeting minutes for March 2024, and 2, Early Head Start Update and Fund 205 Expenditure Report Summary for March 2024. There being no other business before the board at this time, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:39 p.m.
6:39, that was good. 6:30.